What's going on YouTube? Today I will be showing you my finished ultimate Gley build. This includes a mobbing setup and a bossing setup. I will also be showing you the difference between the iron defense and spear and shield module. So stay tuned and let's get right into it. The first thing that you need is a materialized phase reactor with a python mounting. We will be using this for our mobbing and bossing setup. It is also important that you get one with at least a purple cooldown roll. The second roll would preferably be an extra damage roll. For external components, the Slayer set is best in slot in my opinion, since this build will focus primarily on your Gley's massacre damage. It's also important to get HP rolls in some of the components, because this extra HP rolls will be multiplied by these modules, giving us a nice chunk of HP for better survivability. For the Descendant module, the first module that you need is the Massive Sanguification module. This module will give you 3 life spheres when you use your second skill when frenzied. This enables us to pop Massacre right off the bat. Massacre is useless on its own. We need increased sensory as well to dish out that heavy damage through unlimited bullets. The next modules that I am about to show will enable you to have increased sensory at a 100% uptime. Cooldown and duration modules aren't the only modules necessary for 100% increased sensory uptime. You will need focus on dimension and focus on non-attribute. These modules not only provide a lot of damage, but an additional 12.2% cooldown reduction, enabling us to spam increased sensory before its duration ends. Next, we will slot in Stim Accelerant and increase HP modules to have a nice chunk of HP for better survivability. Now for the cherry on top. Walk a Tightrope is an amazing module to squeeze in more damage. Whether you like it or not, our HP will go below 50% right at the bat when we prep for battle. So Walk a Tightrope will be in effect immediately. Next up, the million-dollar question. Spear and shield versus iron defense. I will discuss this in the next video. But for now, trust me on this one. Iron defense will yield more damage. Watch the next footage carefully for damage comparison. Convinced yet? Let's leave that for the next video for better explanation. Next up, I'll show you my solo bossing setup. This setup isn't that much different from the first one, only that it has lower HP and slightly better increased sensory duration, but that tiny adjustment is somewhat a big factor when you're trying to do this. Next up is my mobbing setup. This setup uses Gley's second ability to wipe out mobs within a huge radius with a near zero cooldown. Bunny isn't the only one who has a wide AoE coverage. This setup has a whopping range of 34.4 meters. After using all the necessary modules for cooldown, we are still left with a 5-second cooldown. This is where the multi-talented module comes into play. Through this module, we are provided with 20.5% more cooldown reduction, resulting to a near zero, or if not, zero cooldown for Gley's second ability.
Hold up! I saw something. You said iron defense is better than spear and shield. Then why in heavens are you using spear and shield for the mobbing setup?
Oops. I thought no one will notice that, but like I said before, I will be discussing this in the next video. For now, refer to this damage test. Okay, let's dive down to our weapon of choice, the Python. Now you might ask, is there a reason why you prefer this over the Thundercage? Well, yes. It's because of its superior fire rate over the Thundercage. If you haven't seen it yet, I've provided the link to my previous video in the description. For the Python substats, I recommend getting the following. The electric attack is just a personal preference of mine. Feel free to change it to whatever you like. Since the Python has a very low base critical hit rate, I don't recommend using any of the following modules as well. We will further enhance the Python's fire rate using the following modules. Also, I prefer using sharp precision shot over the mental focus, personal preference if you will. Since we are not critting that much, stacking up fire rate to deal more skill damage through massacre seems like a solid choice. Here comes the no-brainer. Since we are not focusing on crits, we will be using the following additional modules to deal more damage. The Python also comes with a free root socket. We will just be slotting a random module here so that we can squeeze in more weak point damage. This build also have 2 slots for elemental attribute flex. You don't need to use crystal catalyzation for these slots. Change these modules accordingly to counter different elemental resistances, especially when fighting bosses. That concludes our lesson for today. If there's anything that I missed or anything that you want me to clarify, any suggestions, any particular content that you want to see in the future, please comment down below. If you find this video helpful, it would be really helpful if you could leave a like, and if you enjoy any of my contents, please subscribe. Now time for that mandatory Devourer showcase. Just kidding. Here's a 15-second Pyromaniac kill for you to enjoy. Have a nice day.